Dr.
Hey,
Felix,
Chris.
great to be with you, longtime friend, and great to finally do this. Get to know you a little bit better. To kick us off, tell us a little bit about where you grew up.
Hey, Chris. Where I was born in New York. Then I was transferred to Puerto Rico. I was raised in the east of the island of Puerto Rico, about 5 minutes from maybe actually, I think was the biggest U.S. naval um, military base o- on the world. It was Roosevelt Road in the east of Puerto Rico. I was raised by my grandmother in a mountain in Puerto Rico. So it was a very humble beginning, beautiful beginning. Most of our food was raised. Actually, almost everything I ate was from my grandmother's backyard. I used to live close by the river, so by that time, my grandmother had to clean all the clothes. Need to go and wash it at the river, bring it up to the house. Um, it was a different time. If I wanted to eat chicken, I would have to go and catch the chicken. You know, it was a very beautiful. Now I know that I was very poor, but the truth is that when I was growing up, I was extremely happy. So people had dogs, I had chickens, I had horses, pigs. It was a kind of a farm life kind of lifestyle. Um, my grandmother didn't had any formal education. She only went to, I think, first kindergarten, first grade, but she was extremely wise, very smart, and was always giving me plenty of advice, man. It was a beautiful, beautiful upbringing, man.
What were some of your definitely different from today's world, right? But what was some of your like hobbies? What's some things that you really enjoy doing?
Well, actually, I remember when I was growing up, I developed severe asthma. So I spent many years, so up until I was like 12 years old. I was in a hospital almost monthly, at least for a week. So I could barely play. I could barely do any type of exercise. So, but when I became 12, 13, I became stronger. And then I became very obsessed with BMX, Taekwondo, surfing. So I used to be surfing almost every single day, BMX around the clock. And then I started Taekwondo very seriously up to almost for 15 years. So I practiced Taekwondo up to professional level up to 1990. I started like in 1980 and I did it up to 1996, kind of like 16, 17 years nonstop. Um, and Taekwondo became my passion, my life. It became something very powerful it changed my life. My attitude, the way I see things, the discipline that you have in Taekwondo in those years, because I know it has changed a lot. I had to stop when I started medical school because of the lack of time. I regret it. I wish I could take time back and continue it. But Taekwondo was my favorite sport, man.
Awesome. Tell us like for the importance of discipline and some of the other values that it taught you.
Or everything in life is about discipline. It is, and sometimes discipline tends to have like a negative connotation for many people. Like it gives stress to people. Actually, discipline is about having the structure of do the things you need to do, even when you don't want to. Like yesterday, I didn't want to go to the gym. I was tired. I couldn't sleep well, but I still went to the gym. When you have discipline in life, or let's say you don't have to have, I think you don't have to have discipline in everything, but at least you have to have discipline in the things that count, like what you eat, when you sleep, if you can sleep. If you have a goal in life, it's not about say, okay, I want to be a doctor. No, it's like, what do I need to do to get there? How do I prepare? And then have the discipline to follow the path and understand that I heard people saying every time, like, oh my God, my life to become this or that was so hard. Actually, is the path. It is the path. And once you decide to do things other people don't do, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take discipline. Like I remember many times in my career when I was going through college, medical school on a Friday, all my friends would go to party and I would stay studying. And it's not that I didn't want to go or I didn't want to go to the beach, but if I did that like they did, I will not be able to be here. And actually, sadly, I remember people that were a lot smarter than me with my same goal, same dreams. The difference is that they didn't have the discipline to do what they needed to do, consistency. And today they are not physicians, or they didn't finish their undergrad, or they didn't find their dreams. Anything you do, you have to start with small steps, and you have to just keep doing them consistently until you create a pattern. Usually takes about 90 days, Chris, and that is other thing. You don't create discipline. You just don't wake up with discipline. You have to make a goal. You have to make small steps. And in medicine, you learn that it takes about 90 days in a human being doing the same over and over to create habits. That is why there are so many books about habits, about the 7 habits of success. Because habits is what make habits and disciplines go hand by hand. That's why you decide to do something new. First thing doesn't happen overnight. Nothing great happen overnight. Takes years. But the first thing is like to start, make a plan, follow your plan, and start doing small things every day until 90 days have passed and becomes part of your behavior. And I think without discipline and habits, there is you cannot accomplish greatness. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but when you study big minds from our present, people that have acquired huge success in their fields, all of them have had in like discipline, the habits of doing the same thing over and over until you make it happen. You see, that's why I see people like talking about business, to give you an example, and they try one day out of the week to be successful, and then things doesn't happen, and then they understand the product didn't work, the company didn't work. It's not the product, it's not the company. It's because you need to be consistent, and you have to do it not only one day of the week. You have to do it every single day, a little bit, until it become a habit, and then you become better at it.
A lot of wisdom there. I agree with you 100%, 100%. Let's talk about after school. Well, first, when did you decide you wanted to become a doctor?
I was in the hospital. I was like 5 years old, 4 years old. I was in ICU. I remember the physician told my mother I was going to die that night. I remember that night like today. And that night, I was very young. It was a scary place, the machines, the sound in those years. The IV fluids were like in glass bottles, it was crazy. And I remember that night, I said, I want to be a physician. I want to do this. I remember saying, if I survive, I was very young, but my mind, if I'm alive, I want to help people to, if I see somebody where I am, I want to help them. And that became so strong in my heart. I used to be so sick from asthma. Like I couldn't walk more than 10 steps without getting asthma or short of breath. I couldn't play with my friends. It was so severe. And 45, 46 years ago, I'm 52 years old, um, there was not that much science about asthma. There was not that many alternatives. We didn't know almost nothing about it. So when you had asthma, people used to die from asthma a lot because we didn't know. I survived because I had a purpose, maybe to be here, or God, I don't know, but I made it through. I know plenty of people that didn't make it, and the hospital became like my house, like a place that I felt comfortable. because I used to be there all the time. And I remember I up to 11, 12 years old, I used to go to the hospital and knew all the nurses or the doctors. Everybody would be my friend. And, and, and just became a place where I felt very comfortable. So when I stopped being sick, I remember missing the hospital, like just the people that were there, the environment, it wasn't a stressful place for me. It was a place that I used to associate to feeling better. Like I would be very sick, I couldn't breathe, coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, and then next day, 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, I would feel better. So I associate the hospital with a place where I felt better. So since I was very young, and I learned, that's why I learned that being a physician, Chris, is something that you are born with that calling. It's something that is inside of you. It's not something you, it's not a, if you make the decision of becoming a physician with your mind and not your heart, you're going to hate it because it is not a job. It is you're in a position of power, but what you do is serving people, and you have to serve with all your heart because you're going to risk many things, time. You're gonna risk sometimes even your life. Like when COVID-19 came, it's a position. At least what I practice, I'm exposed to the sickest patients, and I'm the first liner. I'm the one there when people come, and I really, still to this day, I'm 52 years old. I've been practicing since 2001, and I still get very excited every single morning when I go to the hospital. I remember a week ago, a colleague of mine told me, he asked me, did you play the lotto? There is 120 million. I said, no, I didn't. He said, oh, what would you do if you get 120 million? I said, well, I would pay whatever debts I have, and then I will come and work for free. I will do this for free because this is what I love. This will be amazing coming here just to serve, Chris. And being a physician is a blessing. I think when I teach my residents, I teach them that you don't choose to be a physician. You have been chosen by history to be a physician. That's what I think. I think it's a it's a blessing, and it's a big responsibility.
It's inspiring, very powerful. When did you first go to school to become a doctor?
Where?
When?
Well,
About
oh,
what?
well, yeah. I, I, I did my undergrad in chemistry, and it's funny because what I'm about to say contradict a little bit what I just explained to you, but it's true. I went to undergrad. I finished my undergrad in Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts, in the early '90s. I started in Puerto Rico. Then I transferred there. I restarted chemistry. And I remember one day I said, "Oh my God, I always wanted to be a doctor since I was a little kid. Do I really want to do this, or is something that I is engraved in my mind? Is this something I really want?" By those years, there were no internet, no Instagram, no Facebook. You had no idea what to do to get into medical school. Actually, getting into medical school was more like a family business. Like your father was a physician, then it was more like it was very hard to get in, and so I didn't know. And I said maybe I should become a chemist. I should do chemistry. I should find out if I really want to come back to what I always wanted to be. So I did chemistry, and I was blessed that I was called from a company by that time called International Fuel Cells. And this company used to do the fuel cells research for spaceships. So I was the third one in history to do this. So I will be in a lab. I will build a huge stand. They will bring me like secret compounds, and I will get how much energy will come from that. And then I will be like working what all the materials to build the methanol battery pack that is used in the spaceships. I did that for a couple of years, and even though I was extremely very successful by that time of my life, I was very young. I was like 22, 23 years old, and I had a very nice job. I was working in an engine for one of the biggest European car companies for methanol. I realized I was successful, but I wasn't happy. I realized that being a physician was a calling in my heart. I had to go to medical school. So I I was supposed to start medical school in 1993. I decided not to because of all this. So I started in 1997. By that time, like I told you, there was no information, so you have to start asking around. Even if you go to college, they didn't know many things. So I applied. There was an exam that you had to take called the MCAT. You still take it, but I didn't know which number was good or which number was bad. And thankfully, I had a dream to stay in the Northeast in one of the big names, and I had the blessing of being interviewed at that time by these universities. But in those years, the tuition for medical school is still very high. But by that time, the amount of aid for you to go to medical school was very limited. It was by that time it was a profession that if you didn't have the family support and money wise, was impossible because you didn't have money. You know, medical school is a full time program, so you don't have money. You need money for paying rent, to eat, for buying clothes, and the loans barely made it for the tuition by that time. That was in the early 90s. So these schools in the United States that I had interviews in the state of Massachusetts, they were my dream, but by that time, imagine tuitions of 40,000, 50,000 a year. That was like too much for me. So I applied to the University of Puerto Rico, State University. Puerto Rico is part of United States. It's like being here. It's the same process, the same rules, and if everything you study in Puerto Rico is like doing it in the States. There is no difference. So I came to an interview to the State University, which is honestly, I think was a lot harder to get in than many high elite universities in United States because the State University of Puerto Rico is only for Puerto Rican descendants, and there is a limited amount of space. It's only 100. By that time, was 120 chairs, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of people. Sometimes over 1,000 people compete, and if you get chosen, by that time the tuition was only $5,000. So when I came to the interview, I learned that before the interview start, I would be like, "How much is for the tuition?" And they would be like, "We have to do the interview first." Yeah, but how much it is the tuition? So when they told me it's 5,000, I said, "Can I sign in?" I said, "No, sir. We have to do the interview, and you have to get chosen." They was like, "Okay," and that's how I ended up in the University of Puerto Rico, which it was I got started in 1997, and I was part of a class of a new change in medicine where medicine changed to make physicians more human. Like to say that I don't know how to find a word. Like they want us to train in a different way. So I was blessed to become part of a select class with people that were brilliant. I remember one of my uh, colleagues from medical school. She was only 18 and she already had a master's degree. I had people that were professors of engineering in the United States at the age of 24. And brilliant geniuses, man, brilliant people. And that for me was a blessing because these people pushed me to my limits. You know, I was surrounded by people that at a very young age had accomplished things that most people don't accomplish in a lifetime, and being a classroom with them show me that all my limits, all the limits that I have in my mind that we as human beings put like this, all I can give, they were not real. They push me beyond my limits. They show me I was able to accomplish things that I could not even dream about them because I wasn't aware I was capable of doing them. Like the amount of study, like I remember by those years, things has changed. And those years, if the medical school accomplished you to quit, they were proud. Oh, this year 20 quit, we made it, you know. So it wasn't about you finishing. It was about just getting the best of the best, and if you couldn't make it, just quit. So sadly, about a couple of people in my class didn't finish. Actually, when I finished medical school in 2001, by those years, many residency programs were like a pyramid. Like we'll start 20, but only 15 go to second year, only 13 go to third year. Like surgery was like that. So sadly, in those years, there was no protection for residents. So you have to work sometimes 48 hours, 72 hours, and you have to compete even with your best friend because it's you or him. You have to compete to get to the second year, to get to the third year, and it was crazy. And I finished my first specialty of internal medicine in 2004. Thankfully, by that time they stopped the pyramid scheme they have, like to get from one year to another. And then when I finished, I always promise. I remember when I was applying to medical school, Chris, I pray and I said, God, I I don't know if I deserve this, but if you allow me to do this, let me. When I'm done, I'm going to serve. So when I finished internal medicine, I went 2 years with the Peace Corps. I spent 2 years in a small island with 10,000 inhabitants. It was me and God and 10,000 people where I did crazy things to save life. And then I did another specialty in geriatrics. So I'm an expert in elderly people. So, but then since I graduated, most of my practice has been hospital-based medicine. I love very, very ill patients. I love acute care, severe cases, cases that are in the brink of dying. And those are the patients that I love to manage. And that is my expertise and how I love to teach. So I've been practice. I graduated in 2001. It's been 24 years since I graduated from medical school. And I multiple times, like now, I've been teaching other people to do what I do.
Oh, that's awesome and inspiring once again. And speaking of brilliant, you probably don't hear it enough. You're brilliant and just obviously won numerous awards, and you're the best of the best. And really just appreciate just being your friend and the servant heart that you have. Um, Tell me a little bit about Lakeland.
Well, Lakeland it was like an accident in my life. I was taking the internal medicine board every 10 years. You have to take a board to be board certified. You don't have to. I like to do it because I think a physician should be up to date and should be, you know, on top of what they do. I took it the first time in 2004, 2005. Then I took it again 2015, and I met this guy, Dr. Baez. Um, he was taking this review seminar course with me, and he said, "Hey, have you heard about Lakeland?" And I said, "No, what is Lakeland?" "Oh, it's a city in Florida between Orlando and Tampa, and we have the busiest emergency department of the United States." I'm like, "What?" So I never heard of Lakeland. And he's telling me he works in the busiest emergency department in the United States. And he's an internal medicine physician there. So I was, by that time, Puerto Rico was changing the way medicine had been practiced. Sadly, uh, HMO took control of how medicine is practiced in the island, and physician, we were struggling providing the services in need. Like hospitals didn't have enough money to buy what is in need to do adequate management. Physicians were paying based of the HMO requirements, and I was kind of depressed. Being in ICU and suddenly requiring something to help somebody, and the hospital barely able to make it to save a life, and it was so hard on my heart that I said, I have to leave the island. It was one of the most painful decisions of my life. It still hurt when I think about it because I love serving my people, serving the elderly from my island in the hospitals, and leaving the island was very painful, but I wasn't practicing the medicine that I like to practice. So I stopped by in Lakeland I was supposed to be there for 6 months only, and then I will go. Um, I always dreamed to go to a huge academic center to teach, and there was some schools that some medical schools and hospitals like that have interest in me, and I said, let me just go to Lakeland, let me learn the system, then I moved. That was in 2015. And the reason that I stay is that first, yes, it's busy. The hospitals see over 250,000 patients a year in ER. It's a trauma center, so everything you see in the movies, you're gonna see it there. The helicopter, the police, the gunshot. It's it's in the middle of Polk County, which is a very poor county. Very poor. It's a lot of methamphetamine use, abuse, but at the same time, there is thousands of beautiful, beautiful people that have no access to physicians because in the state of Florida, health insurance are expensive. Even though the state has some help and aid, many physicians do not accept it. So it's like having nothing. Medical access is very, very, very hard in Polk County. So the ER become like the primary center for very sick patients and just for primary care. And when I was there, I realized that every time I step in that place, my presence changed somebody's life. It's like it's every day is a life changing experience for me and for the patient. And being a place where yes, I could be in a place with a bigger name and bigger institution, I could make a lot more money in other places. I will maybe work a lot less because in Lakeland you have to work very, very hard. Um, but being in a place that you know that you are doing your calling to the maximum expression, that every time you step in, you're going to find an 96-year-old elderly female that has been abandoned by her family, and she's homeless at 94. She's homeless because she has nowhere to go, no money, and then you can take care of her and contact social work and find her a place to be, and just it's other than the diabetes, high blood pressure, all the things that I manage, just being able to help people to have a better life is something that Lakeland is so unique. At the same time, is so not as expensive as other places in Florida. So it's a huge center for snowbirds. So every year we have thousands and thousands of snowbirds. So when I snowbirds, people coming from the cold states in winter. So the funny thing is that sometimes I'm in one room and I am in Canada. Then I am in another room. I am in California. I'm in another room. I am in Minnesota. I go to another room. And I say this because every state have different disease and different things like Coxsackie virus, things like you'll not see in Florida, Lyme disease, things like you'll never see. Then you see them. People from Europe. You go to another room, you are in Jerusalem, then you are in Spain, and and it's the exposure is mind blowing, at least for me. So things that I studied in medical school and many physicians will never see in their career, I see them frequently, or I see them more frequent than even the statistics about how many the percentage worldwide. So it's an amazing place to practice, but above all, it's an amazing place to serve, Chris. So Lakeland has become part of my heart. And it's a city right now. I think it's the fourth fastest growing city in the state of Florida, and it has become an amazing place to live. But at the same time, it's still in huge need of professionals.
Mhm. Yeah, they have a beautiful downtown area, and enjoyed
Yes.
my time with you there. And last time I saw you, obviously, you've been hitting the gym as you always have been. But how long have you had a passion for fitness? And what's your favorite what's your favorite gym activity currently?
But right now, I love weightlifting. I'm 52, and I tell my resident, you have to stay sexy, and staying sexy requires sacrifice and habits, and you have to, make the habit. So doing weightlifting after the age of 50, especially male, is extremely important. You should not do that much cardio after 50 years old. And in human physiology, after 50 years old, the male body mass change between fat and so it's a long conversation, but it is very important that once you turn 50, you start doing some weightlifting, and I have developed a passion for it. I try to train as much as I can, and like we start this conversation, do the things even when you don't want to. I when I was young, most like I think since I practiced Taekwondo to a very high level, um, it seems I hurt my back. I ended up with a back surgery in 2017 due to disc herniation, and that changed my life because before that, the years prior to that, whoever has a disc herniation, whoever listened to this recording and then I understand. Back pain due to this herniation is something that now as a physician I have a lot of empathy. I try not to have surgery, but for 2 to 3 years I couldn't train, I couldn't do exercise, I could barely walk, I couldn't sleep, I became very skinny. So when I finally decide to have surgery, because I have no option, after that I decided, I wanted to change my body and going to the gym. It's like when people think about going to the gym, it's like a burden. Oh my God, I have to go to the gym. What I try to explain my patients is that doing exercise, you should not make time to do exercise. You should make time to work. You should make time to go to the movies. You should make time to watch TV. But doing exercise should be as breathing, should be your life. And people think that doing exercise is going to the gym and being a running machine for a half hour and then do weightlifting for 2 hours. No, doing exercise sometimes is going to the mail. It's like to go around the house twice a day, like just walking to pick up the mail 2, 3, 4 times a day, even if you don't have mail. But when you go to the gym, if you do it right and you do things the right way, you are going to feel much better. You're going to feel like yesterday. Yesterday I was extremely tired, and actually I didn't want to go, but my body needed to. It's like it was like this fight between my mind. You have to sleep, you have to rest, but my body was like craving just for 50 minutes. And actually, what I do, I don't train more than 25, 30 minutes. I train 3 to 4 times a week. And I have about in the last 3 years, I have gained almost 35 pounds in muscle mass. And I don't lift heavy weights. I don't run 28. I usually, I do this amount of cardio, but I do weightlifting in a way that is like doing cardio. So the doing exercise, Chris, has to be part of your daily living. Have to. And I would like to find a different. In the last couple of months, I've been thinking how to find a word for exercise that is not exercise, because when you say the word exercise, for many people, goes like, ugh, like. Like stress, like oh my God, like swearing, like actually we have to figure out a way to change the word, to find a way that when you say it is appealing to the human brain, because the truth is like, um exercise is not exercise, it's living, it's breathing, it's like there are plenty of studies that show that after 50 years old, there are multiple things that are going to determine how good or not is going to be your elderly years, about pain, about mobility, be able to walk, be able to shower. And one of them is your hand grip. The weaker your hand grip, and you're gonna see like after 50 years old, you can barely open the jar, you start getting weak. This determines how your elderly life will be. How easy can you stand from a chair without using your hand? Just being here, just standing up without using your hands. And have many studies have shown, and research, plenty of research has shown that after 50 years old, if you do consistently, you create a habit of doing 20 to 30 minutes of smart exercise, you can hit 80, 90 years with a full life. You can be completely independent. You can actually have. I met a patient the other day. He has become my hero. He had a heart attack when he was 55. He was obese. He used to smoke. He got so scared that he changed his life. He stopped smoking. He lost weight and he started training. When I met him, he was 90 years old, huge, like I say, Chris, huge. Is like his body was. You change his. You didn't see his face. You think he was like 35 years old. And at that age, he just bought a motorcycle. He was a cycle. This was on a motorcycle around the United States, doing weightlifting. He was from another state. And I asked him, what is your secret to keep doing exercise at your age? And he said, "I- for me, exercise is I understand that if I don't do it, I die. Is what keep me alive. All my friends have died, all are bedridden. I am supposed to be dead when I was 55. I changed my life, and now I'm 90. I'm healthy. I have a young girlfriend. I'm have a new motorcycle, and that actually, well, that was about a couple of years ago, and I realized that it's true, Chris. Exercise, you are, and you will feel according to what you eat and what exercise you do, because they go together.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's so important. People need to hear that message. Also, want to just thank you for all our conversations and everything that you've done to help make our products better, help us develop our products, and I just really appreciate all those conversations and all the help that you've given us over the years. And obviously, appreciate your friendship for 15 plus years. And yeah, you're just a special friend to me, and just want to let you know I really appreciate that.
The same, Chris.
All
The
right,
same.
it was great chatting with you this morning, and look forward to seeing you here soon.
Chris, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think FITTEAM has the most amazing product in the market. I think what you have created is like it changed life. Just like what I do in Lakeland, it changed life. It's a product that whoever take it is not only about energy. It actually help people be better, feel better, get longer, have a more productive life, longer life. And I think what you have in your company and the values of your company has changed thousands of people's life. And whoever use your product the way it's recommended is gonna feel just the way I feel: younger, stronger, smarter, faster. Every time I use your product, Chris, I can explain the way I feel. My energy, my how alert I am, how happy I am at work, the power that I get. When I'm in the gym, I use the feet every day while I'm training, and I cannot explain to you. I see people using these other products that hurt more than help, and I feel sad for them. And I try to share the feet with every person I met, Chris. So thank you very much for your vision, for everything you have done. Um, I appreciate this opportunity, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Thank you.